My brother stole my business clients. While I worked overtime, so I launched my own company, and now he's losing everything he ever took from me. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and for the last 4 years, I've poured everything I had into the small marketing agency my brother and I built together. When I say everything, I mean it. My time, my money, my sleep, my sanity. While most people my age were out living life, I was glued to my laptop at 2 a.m., polishing client campaigns, rewriting proposals, and fixing last-minute disasters Lucas created, but somehow never took responsibility for. I didn't complain. I told myself this was what building something meaningful looked like. Something with family. Lucas loved calling himself the co-founder, but if anyone stepped inside our office for even 10 minutes, they'd know who actually kept the place from burning down. I was the one responding to clients at midnight, the one presenting decks I'd stayed up all night preparing, the one apologizing for missed deadlines because Lucas overslept, or forgot, there was a meeting. He'd stroll in an hour late, shirt half tucked, throwing out a lazy, "Relax, bro. I've got it under control," while I silently cleaned up the mess he'd left behind. But every time I felt the bitterness building, I pushed it down. This agency wasn't just a business to me. It was the first thing I'd ever built with my brother. Growing up, we never had much. We always talked about becoming something together. So whenever Lucas took credit in front of clients or bragged on social media about being the face of the company, I told myself it didn't matter. We were supposed to be a team. Family didn't need scoreboards. Still, maybe I should have paid more attention, because recently, Lucas had started acting strange, more secretive. He kept stepping outside to take calls, shielding his phone like he was guarding classified information. And whenever I walked into the office, he'd quickly close emails or switch tabs, pretending he was just doing administrative stuff. I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back, that was the first crack I ignored. Things really started feeling off when clients, people I'd worked closely with for years, suddenly became distant. At first, it was small things, missed calls, short, clipped replies, a meeting cancellation here and there, but then it escalated. Clients who used to greet me with warmth started speaking like they barely knew me. One even apologized for the transition, a word that stuck in my mind like a splinter. Transition? What transition? I asked Lucas if he knew anything about it, and he shrugged without even looking up from his phone. Clients change their minds all the time, bro. Don't overthink it. His tone was dismissive, but there was something else behind it, something a little too calm, too prepared. Meanwhile, our finances were quietly falling apart. I noticed our monthly deposits shrinking, invoices going unpaid, and our expenses mysteriously increasing. When I brought it up, Lucas gave me the same rehearsed line. "It's a temporary dip. Market stuff. Chill." But the more I listened, the more I realized he wasn't actually saying anything. He was just smoothing over cracks with empty words. One Tuesday morning, I walked into a meeting with a longtime client, a meeting I had confirmed myself, and they stared at me with confusion bordering on discomfort. "Oh, we thought Lucas was handling things now," the director said, flipping through her notes. "He said you were stepping back a bit." I remember the rush of heat in my face. "Stepping back from what?" I asked. She hesitated before saying, "From the accounts, the new direction." Lucas had never mentioned any direction. We'd never discussed restructuring. So why were clients talking about changes I'd never heard of? I left that meeting feeling a knot tighten in my chest, one I couldn't swallow down this time. And just when I thought things couldn't get more confusing, I got a message from another client later that day. "Good luck with everything." Lucas explained the situation. The situation? I had no idea what situation they were talking about, but Lucas clearly did. I couldn't ignore the uneasiness anymore. That night, I called one of our oldest clients, the one who sent the good luck message. My voice shook a little as I asked, "Hey, can you tell me what Lucas meant by the situation?" There was a long pause on the other end, the kind that tells you something is very, very wrong. Finally, the client said, "I'm not sure if I should be the one saying this, but Lucas told us you were stepping back because of burnout. He said you were taking time off, maybe leaving the business altogether." I felt my stomach drop, like the ground had vanished under me. "Leaving the business?" I repeated slowly, trying to keep my voice steady. "Why would he say that?" The client sighed. "He said he was reorganizing the account structure. We just assumed you approved it. He made it sound like you were done." I didn't know what to say. My throat burned as I forced out, "No, I never said anything like that." When I hung up, I sat there in the dark, just breathing. trying to convince myself I misunderstood something. Maybe Lucas explained it wrong. Maybe it was a miscommunication. Maybe anything except the obvious truth clawing at me. So I confronted him the next morning. Lucas, why are clients saying I'm stepping back? I asked. He didn't even look worried. He just smirked and said, people hear what they want to hear, bro. You're being paranoid again. Again. That word stung. I'm not paranoid, I said quietly. They're repeating what you said. Lucas shrugged, leaning back in his chair like he had all the time in the world. You've been stressed. I figured giving you space was better. Relax. Relax. Like having my reputation rewritten without my knowledge was nothing. But later that day, the truth hit me harder than anything he said. I walked past his office and caught him whispering on the phone, voice low and urgent. Don't worry, he won't be a problem much longer. My own brother, talking about me like an obstacle he needed to remove. The next blow came faster than I could process. Early one morning, I opened my inbox to find a cancellation notice from one of our biggest clients, one whose account practically kept our lights on. The message was cold, final, and completely unexpected. We've already transitioned our services to Lucas's new team. Thank you for your past support. New team? My hands actually went numb for a second. I called the client immediately, trying to keep the panic out of my voice. Hi, I just saw your email. I'm confused. What new team? The client sounded cautious, like they were stepping around a landmine. Well, Lucas said he was restructuring. He said the agency was splitting, and you'd already approved the transfer. Approved. That word felt like someone stabbed me clean in the chest. When I hung up, I went digging, hard. I opened shared folders, old email threads, proposal archives, anything I could get my hands on, and what I found made my skin go cold. Lucas had been messaging clients from a separate email address, one that looked official but wasn't connected to our company domain. He was pitching them our services, my strategies, my campaign plans, my designs, under a subtly different brand name. He had taken our entire playbook, copied it word for word, and packaged it as his own. I clicked through the files in disbelief. There were folders labeled transfer plans and client migration, filled with timelines and lists of accounts he intended to take. And every document showed the same pattern. My work, my hours, my effort, repurposed, stolen. The worst part? Some files were dated months back. He had been planning this for a long time, right under my nose. Then I noticed something else. An external drive plugged into his computer, quietly syncing documents labeled confidential. My heartbeat didn't just quicken. It slammed in my chest, because whatever he was moving, it wasn't innocent. And as I stared at that drive, one thought hit me harder than all the others. Lucas wasn't just shutting me out. He was replacing me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my desk with the glow of the monitor burning into my eyes as I dug deeper into every file Lucas had touched. Around 3 a.m., I opened a folder I hadn't noticed before, titled Formation. Inside were scanned documents, legal forms, draft contracts. And then there it was, the twist that hit like a punch to the ribs. Lucas had registered a new company under his own name. Same services, same pricing model, same target clients, even the same tagline we spent months perfecting together. Except this time, the company listed him as the sole founder. No mention of me anywhere, not even a footnote. My hands actually trembled as I clicked through. He'd even submitted a fake narrative clause claiming I had stepped down from our partnership due to personal instability. Instability. That was how he justified wiping me out. Before I could even breathe through the shock, another file caught my eye. Screenshots, sent to him by a client I trusted. Screenshots of emails he sent where he forged my signature, approving the transfer of their account to his new business. Fake approvals, fake authorizations, fake consent, all using a sloppy scan of my signature dragged onto PDFs. I felt sick. He didn't just steal clients, he erased my existence. I confronted one of the clients the next morning, asking quietly, "Did Lucas show you a signed approval from me?" They hesitated before answering. "Yes, he said you didn't want any more responsibility." Responsibility? I'd been carrying this company on my back while Lucas posted brunch photos, but the final blow came in the form of a notification in my inbox, a government alert for a business filing. Lucas had attempted to dissolve the original company, the one we built together, the one I sacrificed everything for. And he did it without my signature, without my knowledge, without a single conversation. As I stared at that notification, one thing became painfully, terrifyingly clear. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a coup. a silent one, planned, executed, and already halfway done. And I had no idea how far he was willing to go next. The days that followed felt like watching my life evaporate in slow motion. One after another, the clients I had built relationships with, people who trusted me for years, started disappearing. Some sent polite emails about new arrangements. Others didn't bother responding at all. By the end of the week, the only accounts left were the ones no one wanted. Low-paying, high-demand clients who drained more energy than they were worth. It felt like standing in the ruins of something I had poured my whole heart into. I remember opening our financial dashboard and feeling my chest tighten. Deposits were nearly non-existent. Our operating costs were higher than our income. Bills were stacking up, overdue notices blinking like warning sirens. I sat there with my head in my hands, thinking, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe he did this. I tried confronting Lucas again. You're destroying everything, I said quietly, trying to control my shaking voice. He didn't even look guilty. He just shrugged. It's business, bro. Not everyone's built for the pressure. Pressure? I whispered. I'm the one who worked for every client we had. Lucas smirked, an actual smirk. Then maybe you should have worked smarter. His words hit me harder than any betrayal before. It was like he was proud of pulling this off, proud of taking what I built, proud of watching me crumble. But the lowest moment came when I unlocked the office door one evening to grab some files and stepped into a nearly empty room. Desks gone, printers gone, equipment gone. The shelves were bare, leaving dust outlines where everything used to be. Even my chair, was missing. For a second, I thought we'd been robbed. But then I saw the small scraps of packing tape on the floor. This wasn't theft. It was Lucas. He'd taken everything. Everything except the one thing he wanted gone the most. Me. I stood there in that empty office, listening to the hollow echo of my own breathing, and realized I had hit rock bottom. And if I didn't do something soon, I was going to lose more than just a business. I don't know how long I stood in that empty office before finally walking out, locking the door behind me like I was sealing a coffin. I drove home in silence, hands numb on the steering wheel, replaying every moment I'd ignored, every red flag I'd brushed off. By the time I collapsed onto my couch, I felt hollow, like there was nothing left in me worth fighting for. The next day, out of habit more than hope, I reached out to one of our oldest clients. I didn't expect much, maybe a short apology or another vague excuse, but instead, he surprised me. His voice softened the moment he realized it was me. Hey, are you okay? We were honestly confused when Lucas said you were stepping back. It didn't sound like you. I let out a bitter laugh. Because it wasn't. I never stepped back. He pushed me out. There was a long silence. Then the client said something that hit me like a jolt. We didn't leave because of you. We left because of him. I blinked, sitting up straighter. What do you mean? He's unreliable, sloppy. We only stayed because you were there. You were the brains behind everything. That sentence cracked something open inside me, a tiny sliver of warmth cutting through the numbness. I didn't realize how desperately I needed someone, anyone, to acknowledge the truth. Then he asked quietly, if you ever start something on your own, let us know. Those words kept echoing in my head long after the call ended. I walked around my apartment, pacing, thinking. Then the thought hit me with surprising clarity. I don't need Lucas to build something successful. He needed me. For the first time in weeks, something inside me shifted. Not anger, not desperation, determination. That night, I opened my laptop. I bought a domain. I sketched a new logo. I wrote drafts of service packages. My fingers moved faster than my brain could keep up, as if all the creative energy Lucas had stolen was finally rushing back to me. Around midnight, a notification popped up, an email from a client Lucas had taken. The subject line, read, "Are you accepting new projects?" I stared at it, my heartbeat steady and strong. For the first time since everything fell apart, I felt something like hope. I woke up the next morning with a feeling I hadn't felt in months. Purpose. Not confidence, not yet, but something close enough to pull me out of bed before the sun even rose. I made coffee, sat at my tiny dining table, and opened my laptop like it was the doorway to a new life. And honestly, it was. My apartment became my new office. The hum of my old ceiling fan, the smell of coffee, the faint morning light spilling through the blinds, all of it felt strangely comforting. Like this place, small as it was, actually wanted me to succeed. I poured myself into the work, hour after hour. I drafted proposals with more clarity than I ever had. I rebuilt systems from scratch, cleaner, smarter, more efficient than anything Lucas ever touched. And slowly, the world started responding. Clients began trickling in. First one, then three, then five. Most of them were people Lucas had stolen, but this time, they were reaching out to me. One client said during a Zoom call, "Honestly, we only worked with Lucas because we thought you two were a package deal." Another admitted, "His communication is a nightmare. You're the one who always delivered." Every word felt like someone taking bricks off my chest. Even the environment reflected the change. The click of my keyboard felt sharper, more satisfying. The silence of the room wasn't lonely anymore. It was focus. Full, deep, settling focus. The kind I had forgotten I was capable of. And then, the first big contract landed in my inbox. A company I'd pitched years ago, one who never responded back then, now wanted me to handle their entire marketing overhaul. The potential revenue wasn't just good. It was better than anything Lucas and I had ever secured together. As I stared at the contract, a slow, steady realization washed over me. Lucas didn't take my future. He freed me from a cage I didn't even know I was in. But success has a way of drawing attention. And apparently, my success was starting to get Lucas's attention too. Success came quietly at first, like a soft hum in the background. But soon, it grew loud enough that even people outside my circle started noticing. My new company's projects were performing better than expected. Campaigns going viral, clients leaving glowing feedback, referrals landing in my inbox faster than I could reply. And somehow, inevitably, word found its way back to Lucas. I didn't know he was aware until one morning, when a former client accidentally forwarded me an email Lucas had sent them. The subject line alone made my stomach tighten. "Please reconsider." His message was frantic. "You don't understand. I need this account. We've been partners for years. Don't jump ship just because he's having a lucky streak." A lucky streak. My entire life's work reduced to luck in one insecure sentence. The client added a short note at the end. "Sorry, forwarding this by accident. Just wanted you to see the situation we're dealing with." I read the message more times than I can count. Not because it hurt, but because for the first time, I could see it. Lucas wasn't the confident leader he pretended to be. He was unraveling. The foundation he built on lies and ego was collapsing faster than he could patch it. Within days, I started hearing more stories. A client messaged me saying Lucas had offered them a 50% discount, just to stay one more month. Another said he'd shown up at their office unannounced, trying to smooth talk his way back in, but ended up fumbling through basic questions he clearly didn't know how to answer without me. The cracks were widening, fast. But then came the message that made my pulse spike. A short clip text from an unknown number. "We need to talk, now." I stared at it, confused, until another one followed. "It's Lucas. I'm outside." I walked to my window, and there he was, standing on the sidewalk, looking nothing like the arrogant man I used to work beside. But desperation has a strange way of making people dangerous. And as I headed toward the door, something in my gut whispered that this conversation wasn't going to be simple or safe. When I opened the door, Lucas stood there looking like a man who hadn't slept in days. His hair was a mess, his shirt wrinkled, and his eyes darted around like he was afraid someone else might see him standing there. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence felt thick, like the air itself didn't want to let him in. He finally broke it. "Can we talk?" he said, voice small, so different from the arrogant confidence he always carried. I stepped aside reluctantly, letting him in. He paced my living room with frantic energy, running his hands through his hair. "Look, I know things got messed up," he said, "but I never meant for it to go this far." I folded my arms. "You stole clients. You forged my signature. You tried to dissolve our company. How far did you mean it to go?" He winced. "Okay, I made mistakes, all right? But you left me no choice." That line hit me like ice water. "No choice?" I echoed. "Lucas, I carried the entire business while you lied to everyone." He spun around, anger flashing across his face. "Because you were too soft. Clients walked all over you. I had to take charge." I actually laughed. Bitter, tired, done. "Taking charge doesn't mean stabbing your own brother in the back." "I did it for both of us," he snapped. "You should be thanking me." His voice cracked on the last word, and for a split second, the mask slipped. I saw the fear underneath, the panic of someone watching everything they built on lies crumble to dust. I took a slow breath. "Lucas, I know about the forged documents." His entire body went still. His face drained of color so fast, it almost scared me. He swallowed hard. You saw that? I saw everything, I said quietly. And if even one client files a complaint, you're done. He sank onto my couch, head in his hands, whispering, please, help me fix this. But as I looked at him, broken, desperate, not because he cared, but because he was losing, I realized something unsettling. Lucas wasn't here to apologize. He was here to survive, and I wasn't sure what he'd do next, now that survival was slipping out of his reach. Over the next few weeks, Lucas's downfall unfolded like a slow-motion car crash, messy, unavoidable, and impossible to look away from. I didn't interfere. I didn't need to. His own actions were finally catching up to him, and the people he'd lied to were no longer willing to protect him. The first hit came from a former client who emailed me out of nowhere. I thought you should know, he wrote. We're filing a formal complaint against Lucas. He broke our contract. Attached were screenshots, missed deadlines, false updates, sloppy work. All the things I used to silently fix behind the scenes. Except now, there was no one left to cover for him. A week later, another message arrived from a different company. He promised a full rebrand in 2 weeks, delivered nothing. We're taking legal action. It snowballed from there. Posts started appearing online, LinkedIn rants, industry whispers, quiet warnings spreading through circles we both once worked in. Lucas's name was becoming synonymous with unreliability, arrogance, and chaos. Every client he stole was now loudly dragging his reputation through the mud. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt relieved. Meanwhile, my new company kept growing. I stayed focused, kept my head down, and delivered the best work of my life. Clients appreciated the professionalism. They trusted me. They believed in me. Every successful project felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. But Lucas? He was unraveling. Mutual friends reached out, saying Lucas had been calling them nonstop, begging for advice, support, a way out. Some said he cried. Others said he cursed my name, claiming I'd abandoned him. Most simply stopped answering his calls. One night, a cousin texted me. Lucas just asked me to convince you to help him. I'm not getting involved. He did this to himself. And then came the final shift, something I never expected. I received an email from a major industry organization, a nomination. Me. For an award recognizing innovation and integrity in marketing. I sat staring at the screen, a strange mix of disbelief and quiet pride filling my chest. As everything for Lucas collapsed, everything for me was finally falling into place. But there was still one last moment waiting, a moment that would deliver the final, unexpected blow. When the award ceremony email landed in my inbox, I sat there for a long time, just staring at it, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Validation. Not the loud, boastful kind Lucas always craved, but the quiet, grounding kind that sinks into your bones. The kind that whispers, you did this without him. But life has a way of delivering its final twist at the perfect moment. A few days later, I stepped out of a meeting with a major new client, one who found me because they'd heard about Lucas's failures and wanted the other brother, the one who actually knows what he's doing. As I walked across the parking lot, my phone buzzed. A number I didn't save, but I recognized it immediately. Lucas. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, letting it ring into nothing like he'd earned. But something, curiosity, maybe closure, made me answer. His voice was barely above a whisper. Please, can we talk? I didn't speak. I just listened to him breathe, shaky and broken. They're suing me, he finally said. All of them. I'm drowning. I can't fix it. I don't know what to do. It wasn't anger I felt, or satisfaction. It was clarity. Lucas, I said quietly, you burned every bridge you had. I warned you. He sniffed, then said the words I never thought I'd hear. I need you. Please, help me. For a second, the old version of me, the brother who always bailed him out, stirred. But then I remembered the empty office, the forged signatures, the nights I cried alone, wondering why my own brother wanted me gone. I'm not your solution anymore, I said softly. You made choices. Now you're facing them. Silence, heavy, final. You're really not coming back? He whispered. No, I said. I've built something you can't steal. I ended the call. As I walked to my car, the late afternoon sun warmed my face. My phone buzzed again. An email from a new client wanting to onboard. Another step forward. Another door opening. Lucas lost everything he tried to take, and I gained everything I thought I'd lost. That day, I finally let the past burn behind me, because the future in front of me was brighter than anything he ever tried to keep for himself.